Hey everyone, what's up? We're back. This is our 7th episode. We're here with a very special guest, my very own baby, Suki. Whoa. Hey.
Whoa.
Hey, and when she's acting real bad, Sukiana. My name is Aizy.
Shanti.
And this is Evelyn. And today we're excited to talk about a topic we've been wanting to learn more about, the feminine energy. And what it's like to have that feminine, the divine feminine energy. To start off, I'm curious to know before we, say the definition and everything, do you guys feel like you guys embody more the feminine or masculine energy?
I'm definitely masculine, for sure.
Why would you say that? Yeah.
So in the research that I did, it said like masculine energy is more like strategic, logical, more like it's more like I think, and feminine is more like I feel. And it's a lot of like linear and just like really it's very competitive. And so I feel that meets me a lot more. I feel like I do have feminine, but I think overall I do emulate a lot of masculine energy. How about you?
I feel like if you were to ask me this, like maybe even a year or two ago, I would say masculine. Just because of how much I've repressed my emotions and like the way I would think about certain situations, like you need to be strong, or the way what I defined as strong, you know? And now I have a whole different perspective. I have a whole different definition of power and strong and what that is. So I think overall, I would say I'm like a balance, like I have my points where I'm going to be more masculine. I have my points where I'm going to be way more feminine. And I see that in my relationship. Initially I was very masculine and very like, and now I'm feminine. I want him to take care of me, I want him to do stuff for me, like, and that can mean cook for me or, buy me something. Like, I just don't want to do it all, I just don't. But I still have my masculine side, where I show it a little bit at work or in social statuses, or just like as like a protective, like to let people know, like, I'm not this like, this like weak, dainty little girl. Like, no, I'm stern and I demand respect, So for me, I feel like that's my personal opinion is I feel like that's the goal, is to be a good balance. Like, you shouldn't be one or the other, because like, me, I've been very masculine most of my life. And it caused me to, suppress so much emotions that I just always, like how you say, you just use logic. Like, well, people have been through worse, or, oh, this and that. Like, oh, and then you just go on with your life and you reach a point where you're just like, God damn, like, why am I crying all of a sudden? Like, if I never cried before. And it's because everything now is like just exploding. Like, you can't, suppress it no more. And I've reached those moments in my early 20s. And now that I'm in my mid-20s, I'm just like, okay, like, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. It's okay to, be vulnerable. It's okay. It's not weak. It doesn't mean that, you're not strong. Like, no, it's actually you're strong when you're vulnerable. When you show a side of yourself that you don't really want to be shown, like that takes a lot of courage, that takes a lot of effort to really show that side of you to the world. So
I agree. I think those are good, two different perspectives. It's nice that you realize that you used to be masculine. Now you got more in touch of your feminine.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, that you say that you're more in your masculine. Have you felt like you've always been in your masculine, right?
I would say, yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the great thing about masculine and feminine energy, it's not tied down to any specific gender, but the problem is when we are out of balance. So Chantel, you were right. It's a matter of having each one in balance. Again, it's not bad to have too much of one, but that is when you see an imbalance in your life. Feminine energy is more like where you're receptive, intuitive, nurturing, loving. You're more in touch with your emotions. And a feminine energy will embody something like a woman that, like, I don't know, she's more on her creative side, focuses on like her feelings and emotions, and is not, I wouldn't necessarily say aware of it, but pays more attention to it, versus on the other hand, masculine energy is more like I just mentioned, assertive, logical, action oriented. And someone with masculine energy will embody like let's get this done. Work, hustle, 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 achievement. We got to do it. And it's a great thing to have, right? Personally, me, I would say I used to have masculine energy in middle school and high school. I was very like, I can do this on my own. I want to do it. I don't need help. During my college years is when I got more in touch with my feminine side. And I was like, ooh, I like being taken care of. Or, ooh, I like when people do this for me. Or, I was in touch with my emotions. But yeah, that's a little bit about how I learned more about that. Whoa. Someone's saying spirits.
Somebody's saying she's masculine.
Like her mother.
Whoa. Relax. My dick is bigger.
Whoa. It's crazy. I was reading an article on masculine energy. This woman was talking about how she's always been in touch with her masculine energy her whole life. And she just feel like she's always heard about feminine energy. She's like, why am I not in touch of that? So I'm going to go on with a little story about this woman that was speaking on it, that when she was younger, her father let her down. So when her father let her down,
I didn't know I wrote a biography.
when her father let her down, she naturally became a man energetically, if that makes sense. Like she was like, I can do this for myself. I can be independent. I can do this, which was great for her. She succeeded in so many ways. But then it got to a point where she became relentless. That's where like, okay, why am I relentless? Why is no one taking care of me? Why is no one? But at the end of the day, it's like you built this for yourself. And it's not no one's fault here, but it's you set this image where I can do this for myself, but you got loss of touch of your emotions and feelings and your nurturing. It's an interesting thing I read also too, was that feminine energy is like Mother Nature. Where you nurture, you love, you create, right? And it's important to sometimes get in touch with that.
I think that this is important even for men to have, because, we live in a society in the United States where it's like, I've heard even women say they don't like to see men cry, and I just feel like that's so sad because, men need to be vulnerable. Men need to have a safe space, yes. to be, to cry, to vent. And, and also if my boyfriend, if we were to have a daughter, I would want him to be feminine with her, and let him let her paint his nails, and just be soft and cuddly and a safe space for her. Like, I don't want to just like, I don't want, because I'm the woman, like I have to do that. Like, no, we each should be both of that, you know? So I think that, we think feminine energy and we think, oh, that's a feminine trait. That's a woman trait. But it's really not. It's just, we put a gender on it because that's what we do as humans, but it's really no gender, And
I really wanted to go back to your first point, how you said, when in work and in social settings, you're masculine. I was watching a video talking about feminine and masculine energy, and he's a psychologist, and he said that women now are so much more masculine because we are in a patriarchal society. Yeah. He said that we have to produce, masculine energy, especially in our work, especially in social settings.
I mean, that's what society has become a norm. It's like hustle, work, be assertive, and now we're thinking that's the right thing. And again, no right or wrong, but it's important to be in balance.
Yes. And then also, there was a survey done which they asked like what is something they would like, the people like the CEOs or the people at top, in corporate companies, like what is something they would like to see change. And a lot of people said they would like the CEOs and the, higher ups to be more empathetic, to be more like understanding, to be, and which are known to be more like feminine traits. Because, it does kind of feel icky when you're over here dedicating your life to a job and, they don't care what's going on in your personal life. They don't care if your mom died and this happened. Like, they're just like, okay, we're going to give you these days because we have to. But then after we need you here, And so I feel like that creates a lot of like, it can create sadness, depression, and burnout, especially burnout. So I do see that even in my workplace. Like, I have a lot of women that are my supervisors, and it's so different. Like, when I come to them and I talk to them about work and, how my mental health hasn't been the great, but, I tell them next month, though, I'm going to kill it, and they're giving me great reviews. They're not telling me, oh, but I'm just like, I'm hard on myself. Yeah. And my supervisors will tell me, Chantel, I know this is your job and all that, and I do want you to work hard, but your mental health is more important. And for me to hear a manager tell me that, I remember I was just like,
Shock.
I was in shock. I was like, wow, like that's beautiful. You know, that's beautiful. I feel cared about. You know, I feel like, wow, like even makes me want to even work harder at this job because of, you know, of it makes me want to work harder at this job because I'm just like, damn, like they really care about me. You know, like I'm not just another person that's just gonna come and help their numbers. Like, no, like they really care about my well-being. You know, they see me as a person.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important for people to be aware of, especially in a workplace, you know, going back to what you're saying, it's your mental health is important. So many people aren't prioritizing it nowadays.
Yeah.
But going back to what we were talking about with the feminine energy too, I was reading something. Well, I'm sure you guys are aware of the Chinese philosophy of the yin and yang.
Yeah.
So yin is feminine energy and yang is masculine energy, and they talk about how it is a perfect balance. You guys seen the pictures online, right?
The
The yin and
black and
yang.
white.
Yeah, and it's a perfect description of feminine and masculine energy. Just we need each other. They're interconnected.
Yeah.
You know, to be your best self. You know, to be okay with, you know, getting help or being open to that stuff. Or for example, someone who's too feminine. Okay, I'm not talking about, I'm here, like, I feel like I'm talking about, all the good feminine. But there's also downside of being too feminine.
Yeah.
You know, making decisions out of your emotions rather than your mind. You know, you're so stuck and you get, I wouldn't say sensitive because, well, I'm sensitive. But, like, you get too stuck and you're like, oh, I'm sad. I'm going to make this decision based on my emotions. And it's just the best decision for me because I'm sad. Yeah. Mentally, this is where the masculine energy comes in. And it's like, no, you need to be assertive. You need to be on top of your stuff because, you know, again, it's a balance. It picks each other up.
Yeah. And I agree. I feel like just being too feminine, you're going to get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
You know, like being too compassionate, too empathetic, too sensitive, too emotional. Like, you're going to set yourself up for failure, you know? But we see that here now, like with the patriarchy, you know, masculine energy is dominated, you know, and that is causing even, you know, consequences with men. You know, men are committing suicide at the highest rates. And it's white middle-aged men, you know, that are committing the most suicide because they feel the most pressure, you know, to be the provider, to be the strong one, to be the person that, you know, doesn't show emotions. And when you suppress your emotions for so long and don't ask for help and don't get vulnerable and, you know, don't show that weakness that they say, you know, you're gonna explode one day, you know?
It's too much of a masculine energy in one, you know?
Yeah.
We're like, I got this. I can handle this by myself. It's okay to seek help. And that's the issue. We feel like we don't think, oh, we don't need help. We're good by ourselves. And it also comes down to how you were raised, your traditions, culture. You know, masculinity also comes like macho men. They know that they're okay with anything. They can do anything by themselves. But that's also how, like you said, they explode.
Well, that's why we need community. Like, we need one another. And, you know, growing up, like, I was very masculine because I didn't have the best, like, connections with girls growing up, you know? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I felt it more catty and, like, competitive, you know? And I feel like girls are just naturally, like, always competing with each other. And even growing up, like, me and one of my close cousins, like, we would always get compared, you know, because we're the only two girls and I had a lot of guy cousins. So I feel like that type of energy made me more masculine also, and made me want to hang out with mainly guys. And it wasn't until high school where I started making better connections with girls and I started realizing, like, no, like, there's a beautiful side of having a feminine group of girls, you know, and where we uplift each other and we encourage each other and we create a safe space for one another to cry and to just vent or to talk about good stuff. And, you know, that is something that is essential, and not only in women, but like I said, in men, you know, men friendships, like, you know, you don't see that connective, you know, that connection. And I saw this video of this older lady, and she was talking about, like, the difference between, like, men friendships and women friendships. And she's saying, you know, men, they watch sports sitting next to each other and they yell out, yeah, wow, or whatever, you know, here and there. Women, when we hang out, we face one another and we say, I need you, you know, or like, I'm going through this, or so we build this special bond, this connection, this community.
I love that. I love that.
And men lack that. You know, and and they complain about it, which is hilarious. But when we bring up the patriarchy, they're like, no, that's not it. And it's like, oh, it's like makes you want to pull your hair, because the patriarchy is not helping the men either. I know it benefits them, which it does, but at the same time, it's killing them. It's killing them.
Yeah, it's so funny because I went out to eat with Brian and all his homies yesterday. We all went to eat, and it's so funny because they were talking to me, like, some of his homies were talking to me like their relationships and kind of where they were at, and they were just like kind of telling me things, and like I could sense, like, from feminine energy, community is part of feminine energy, you know? Yeah. And then they were talking to me, and I felt like, I'm telling you, I just sat down, they just started like, yeah, no, I'm feeling so much better after my recovery. And I felt like there was, now that when I was, looking at their videos and seeing feminine, I'm like, this is like the feminine energy of them, of like wanting that community, because they're like, oh no, I vented to this guy because I knew he could relate, but he's like, no, I didn't want to hear it. And even like he was like saying things to me, but like on a low voice, because he didn't want everyone to hear, because he didn't really want like their input, he felt safe with like me, because he felt like I was going to, back to that feminine energy, the nurturing part, that like, it's okay.
It let him get in touch with his emotions again.
Exactly.
Yes. And I was reading too that for feminine energy, it's need, and masculine energy is desire, right? Like you said, like when we're heartbroken, we're in need of love, we're in need of hugs, of cuddles, of time. And when you're masculine energy, it's desire. I want to be super successful at work. I want to run this marathon. Not me personally. I want to,
and it's okay to have both, though. That's the
you
thing.
Need to.
You need to have both, and it's a time and place. There's places where you're gonna, I need to be assertive. I need to. Okay,
she needs the cuddles. Whoa,
working in the cyber world, I need to be assertive as a woman. Yeah. I have to let them know I want this and I want it this way. It can often be seen as, oh, she's assertive, she's a woman, that's how they are, right? But it's not that. It's because I am a woman that I'm not getting what I want in a dominant world work environment. Yeah. So it's that's where I need to express my assertiveness. Versus when I go home and I am feeling down, I connect with my emotions. I'm like, okay, I feel down. What do I need to do? That's when I also get in touch with my creative side, which is another trait that you have with feminine energy. It's like, whether I want to paint, I want to do a scrapbook. And getting in touch, like you said too, with the nail thing, painting your nails. It's such a feminine energy. It feels weird at first because you're just like, I don't do this stuff. I never do that in middle school and high school. I didn't even paint my nails in high school. But when I did, I was like, oh, it feels weird. But then I get compliments and I'm like, oh yeah, my nail lady, like she did it. But I'm glad. I personally would say I am in balance now.
And it's not the act of painting the nails, it's the feminine part of you that's caring and nurturing for you, right? Like if you like to care of. If you like to work out, if you like to meal prep, if you like to, film a podcast, like this is us doing that self-care part of it. And what I was reading too was that estrogen, oxytocin is what causes women to, reduce our stress. And so oxytocin mixed with estrogen is actually what helps create, like on the biological science side of it, oxytocin and estrogen is what helps create feminine energy. And when you're at your peak feminine, this is so crazy because I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. But when you're at your peak feminine energy or like peak feminine, it's when you're on your period. Right? Because you have all your hormone levels, they're really high. And that's why, like, when you're in a relationship or if you have someone special, that's when you feel you need them the most. And that's when also they find you the most attractive. And that's due to pheromones.
Hey, like the dogs when they chase the dogs when they're bleeding.
Literally. That's due to the pheromones, but that's literally because your estrogen and your hormone levels are so high. That's your so peak. And that's, again, you're very feminine. You're very in need. I need this. I want comfort. So it's crazy that there's like biological sense. Whereas for men, or not men, I'm sorry, for masculine energy, it's testosterone. Testosterone is what helps produce like masculine energy. And so when women have too much testosterone, that's when it goes back to your point, Evelyn, the balance. If there's an imbalance, that's when women are too masculine, and it's kind of like there's a balance with, too masculine, there's an imbalance, and they're not really able to produce or be at that feminine energy level.
Yeah. I agree.
And then something else I find interesting is how women are not naturally feminine and men are not naturally masculine. It's trained.
Yeah, it's trained. It's not specific to a gender.
So women, we might come off as more soft and all that because we we were trained since we were
Conditioned.
little. We were
Yes.
given a baby doll, you know, we were given these type of toys where, oh, we have to care for someone else, you know? And while boys are given like action figures or stuff like that, where, you know, it's just like, it's also taught. So I think that this is, you know, a good lesson for myself. You know, if I were to have kids, like, I'm gonna teach them both, you know, like, I'm not gonna give them roles because, oh, that's how it is. Like, no, I'm gonna teach my son it's okay to cry, you know, it's okay to be vulnerable. Like, you know, if your friends laugh at you, they're the ignorant ones. Ignore them, you know.
And a lot of males too, I know that they tend to, you know, I think that's their way to comfort someone because they're not in touch with their feminine side. Come on, bro, don't cry. Don't cry. We don't cry. But it's also trying because they don't know even how,
They think
how to
they're
deal with
helping
that.
them.
They think they're helping them. But they're like, don't cry, bro. Like, who cares? You're a man. You know, how are you managing your emotions and feelings when you're going through that?
Yeah. Because I feel like that's another reason why, like, men are the ones doing the mass shootings. You know, men are the ones, like, doing these, like, even wars all have been started by men. So, they, you know, they say we're emotional, we're this, like, we're illogical as women. But I think that's laughable because I feel like starting a war, just going off and shooting, that's because that's emotions. But like I said, it goes back to suppressing those emotions. So there's going to reach a point where you're going to explode, you know,
Right, yeah.
and you're just going to unleash. That can mean from you crying for days, or, you know, if you have an anger problem, that can lead to you doing some, you know, very heinous things, you know. So I think that's another reason why femininity has to be reconstructed and re-explained to a lot of people in this society, because, you know, we need to teach the next generation of men that, you know, what we learned from the previous generations, you know, and we need to teach them now that it's okay. Everything's okay. It's a safe space. And you can create your own safe space, you know.
Do you think that you are attracted more to masculine energy in men or feminine energy?
I don't know. I feel like when I was younger, I was very attracted to the masculine, and I really wanted to be submissive. And to be honest, it led me nowhere. You know, it led me to a heartache. It led me to me doubting my self-esteem. And now with my new boyfriend, I feel he has shown this feminine side of him that I just admire, you know, and I'm just like, wow, like, he's teaching me how to be emotionally intelligent, you know, and how to tackle my own emotions. And that's why he changed my perspective of, like, femininity and masculinity and what it really is. Because, like I said, initially I did start in the relationship very dominant, very masculine, you know, and now I just feel very feminine. I feel airy with him. I feel like he'll take care of me. Like, you know, it's crazy. Like, but like, it goes back to balance, because obviously I'm going to have my masculine side still here and there, but it's not like how it used to be.
Yeah. How about you, Evelyn?
I feel like I've always wanted a combination of both, but because I grew up with a lot of macho men in the family, not my family, an immediate family really, but I had cousins and uncles that were very assertive and very like, oh, get me this in the kitchen, or get me, you know, the way they talk and treat a woman was a lot different. And it made me not want to go to straight masculine, because I started believing that, is that how all masculine men are? So I've always liked when they have a little feminine side of them, where they're just a little nurturing as well. They're in touch with their emotions. They let me know how they feel about any situation, or if something makes them uncomfortable. Yeah. And they're very clear with communication. You know, they're not embarrassed to say, like, I'm not going to show my emotions. So I would say I like a mix of both, and I'm probably always going to want that in my life. Yeah. What about you, Isis?
I feel like me, I feel, I don't know, I guess at the particular place where I'm at, I feel like, I guess, you know, because I have been with my partner for so many years, I guess he is like a balance, because I feel like he's very neutral, but he's very feminine in the sense he's very creative. Like you said, he's very emotionally cognizant. He's very in tune, and he has also helped me be, you know, more in touch with my feminine sides and be more I feel, because I started thinking, I'm like, okay, feminine is I feel, masculine is I think. And I'm like, when I'm in an argument, what do I say? I'm like, I think you're tripping. I think that, you know, I go to immediately to that, you know, and his reaction is not necessarily towards like what the act is, like, oh, you know, he left his boxers on the floor like he did this morning, in the restroom actually. But anyways, but it's more like, okay, babe, I'll do it. Like, don't chill. Like his to me is like, okay, chill, you know, because he's more thinking about my mood. He's thinking like, okay, let me, you know, his perspective is, let me think of it in terms of the mood, right? And me, it's more like the act. Like, if he just picked this up, it's done. And he's like, how do I change her feelings? Because he's so in tune with his feelings. So
you know what's crazy? I actually can see. Hey, what is the question that they asked? What are some tips for a successful long relationship? Whoa, it's right here. And I'm saying it's because it's finding the balance, being the yin to the yang, having each other balance each other out. But you would say he has a bit of both?
Yeah, I say he has both, but I would say definitely he does lean more into like feminine, because again, he's very in tune with his feelings.
He's definitely not going to show this to his homies.
Yeah, his homies, he's gonna be
don't
like,
watch this episode. It's whack.
Tell me when I was watching something. He's like, why you always watching shit about men? Men gotta do this. And I'm like, that's not even what I'm watching. Like, it's feminine, masculine energy. We're like, he's like, yeah, you need to be more feminine. You need to be more feminine. I'm like, okay, then dominame. Grab me by the fucking neck and throw me on the floor and burn me, put me up, sprinkle the ashes. No, I'm playing. Yeah, another thing that I learned about like masculine and feminine energy in regards to like relationships and like the pursuit of them is like for, because like you said, we're in a society where usually women are feminine, right? So don't think that this is specific to women and men. It's just how we've kind of naturally been conditioned in a patriarchal society. But like for masculine, theirs is I think, right? So then when they see someone, they're like, oh yeah, I know I could have sex with them, right? And when it's feminine energy, it's more like, sex to me is more attached to like a relationship, something more stable or exclusive. And so what happens is that when you're using your feminine energy, and sometimes when you're looking for a lasting long-term relationship, this is not for a hot girl summer. This is for cuffing season. This is not if your fully frontal cortex has not been developed yet. But, they're saying like when you're looking for like a long-term relationship or something like a pursuit and you have sex too easily, the masculine energy is not able to give, right? The masculine energy likes the pursuit, likes to chase, likes to give, wants to pamper you, wants
like
to
the desire.
It kills the desire.
They like a challenge.
Yes, yes. So they're only able to bond with you on the sex, like on that surface level.
Sounds like lust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So because again, you as a feminine energy or from the masculine perspective, you cut it off too quick. You don't really let me desire you. You don't really let me go beyond like, oh, I know I could fuck them, but not, oh yeah, I did. So it's like they're only bonding with you through sex. You're bonding with you through desire, through emotional connection. And so that's why you have to be careful when you're looking for a relationship, that you can't give in too easily, because again, there's no pursuit, there's no desire, there's no bond, and that's why that bond gets broken. Because again, that lust or the want, the passion does fade if it's, I'm not able to any longer think of you deeper than like the sexual, desire.
I agree. I think the emotional connection with someone is very important when you're getting, like you said, cuffing season in a relationship with someone. How do you know if you're really going to get along with this person long term? People have sex and they lust rather than love. So, this is why a lot of things don't work out. Sometimes they end up in relationships where they're unhappy. Oh, I didn't know he was like that. He's acting this way. Well, honey, you didn't really get to see that side of him because you immediately jumped to the sex part.
Yeah, you guys didn't get deep, before. And I think like, in relationships, like a good foundation is like a friendship, right? And, hey, friends don't have sex. They're not supposed to, but,
Yeah, platonic,
not
romantic.
But there's a reason when you're friends with someone and you guys don't have sex, like, it's because you genuinely like love that person, right?
Yeah.
Like you choose every day to be around that person, and it's just like this connection. And so you want that in a relationship. So yes, if you're looking for something serious, no matter if you're a man or a woman, like you should really take it slow and really get to know each other, build emotional connection, build a friendship, and then talk about the sexual stuff after,
Yeah, see each other's way of like how you guys react to things when you're mad, when you're sad, if you're really going to be able to stick through that, through thick and thin.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to go extreme, like, oh, wait till marriage or something. No, it's until you feel safe, until you feel ready, or until it just comes naturally, like a spontaneous night where, you guys been talking for months and,
you feel that reassurance.
Yes, you feel safe.
The masculine has given you what the feminine requires. Yes. And again, you've reciprocated. You've allowed yourself to give, to maybe be submissive, to be creative, to be nurturing to the masculine energy, Do you think I have a lot of mass because I'm a lot of fire?
Yes. So I feel like astrology plays a big part, and this is why it's not stuck to a gender, right? Because like, interesting enough, air signs are feminine energy. They come off masculine because like, Capricorns are the goats, right? They're trying to be the top. Like they're business, they're serious, they're conservative, they're traditional, you know, they're, you know, some people even say they're the daddy of the zodiac, but they're actually feminine energy, you know, because of how grounded they are, you know, of like, they're not logical in the sense of like the air signs are logical, you know, the air signs are known to be disconnect with emotion, and or the earth signs are not, you know, that's why they go very well with the water signs, because it's like they kind of help each other out and like help each other, like, you know, like the earth, the water, you know, the earth needs water, you know, it's the same type of thing. And then when you look at the masculine side, which is like earth and not earth, fire and air, it's like the emotional side is the fire sign for the men, which is, you know, what we consider like the men's side, you know, the masculine. And that's like the anger, you know, the ambition, you know, the confidence, the impatience, you know, the like even Aries, like they're emotional, but they're actually very logical because they rule a side of a brain. And so if you look at your chart, I feel like if you look at your chart, I feel like it gives you kind of an insight of like, you know, why maybe you come off very masculine even though you're a woman, you know, or why you come off very feminine and you're a man, you know. Like myself, I'm a Taurus and that's earth sign, so I'm considered feminine. But if you look at the rest of my chart, I have a lot of, you know, fire and I have a lot of air, you know, and I only have 2 placements that are Taurus, and that's my only feminine, you know. So it's very complicated, and it kind of lets you in and like, okay, so like my Mercury's in Aries, so the way I talk, the way I communicate, the processed information is very masculine, you know, based. But my Venus is in Taurus, so it's very feminine. So it's kind of funny because even when I was very masculine in my previous relationship, even now I am very kind of like servitude, very feminine, very like what is it, like when you're submissive, you know, like, and like I said, I feel like it has, not that it hasn't led me anywhere, but it has taught me lessons where I'm just like, no, I have to be masculine too, you know? And so it's interesting. I feel like astrology gives us an insight of like the complexities of feminine and masculine and how it's not very black and white all the time, you know? Like it's a very mixture, you know? So
it's interesting how everything is combined, you know, with the moon, the sun, horoscopes, astrology,
and even the moon and feminine. The sun.
Yeah, like, yin yang, like the philosophy.
But like the moon, right? The moon in astrology, it's ruled by Cancer. So Cancers are the mother of the zodiac.
And then feminine on yin, which is yin, is also it's interesting actually because feminine energy is the moon. Yeah. And then masculine energy is the sun.
Yes. So back to like the fire signs, right? Yes. They're emotional, but they're masculine emotional, you know? So the sun is a masculine element per se, you know? Like, you know, they're the center of the universe. They're, you know, they have a lot of like, they demand like a lot of, sun is, it's demanding, you know, it's dominant, you know, like
masculine.
It's masculine, you know, and the moon is just there, you know, it's changing. Yeah. But it has an effect on us. Just how, you know, if you go to hospitals, they're going to tell you when there's a full moon out, the crazy things happen at hospitals. People's emotions get all crazy, you know? And so it's crazy how it's all connected. And, you know, we try to put everything in a box. We try to put people in a box. We try to, you know, say this is how it should go. The women should act like this and a man like that. But in reality, like, it's just stuff that we made up. You know, it's the society standards that we put on each other. And because of that, women are, you know, not in high positions of power, you know, are not taken seriously, or seen, you know, as emotional or as this, as that, and not realizing that men are also emotional, you know, they're fiery emotional. And that's also an emotion, you know, anger is an emotion, you know, and it's just about finding the balance of that, you know, of being, okay, it's okay to be like that, but you also need to be soft, you know, like, you know, and if you see like in big companies that are ran by a lot of women, they're very successful because of that, of the compassion that they share and they give. And I feel like if we were to incorporate that in even in our government, it would change a lot, you know, like it would.
I feel like I personally have incorporated some stuff like that because I work in a lot of like male teams. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, like, let's take a break. Let's go back. Let's take a pause. And they're like, always like, go, 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 go. And one of them actually, this was months ago, was like, you know what? You caught me off guard. I think I was too focused on like the bigger picture. And I was like, I needed to take a step back. And I was like, and I didn't realize that. And I was just like, and when I started researching about this feminine energy and masculine energy, I was like, oh, did my feminine energy just get you there?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's important to have these women, like you said, in these big companies, because men, I hate to say, you guys need us.
Yeah. And men are not, I say men are like this.
I'd love to say it, actually.
Yeah, and men are like this
Well,
because of
ditto.
other men. You get me? Like, men put these standards on other men. Like, don't
Yeah.
cry, don't do this, don't do that. I don't believe men are naturally like that. Because if
I
you see
agree.
little boys, I'm sorry, they throw tantrums. You know, they
Yes.
cry. They want their mommy. They want. It's just that we condition them to suppress that.
Right,
You know, we
right.
condition men to be a certain way. And I say we because I feel like mothers are even, you know, they're involved with that.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It definitely is the responsibility of the mother and the father, right? Like you're
Yes.
saying, we are conditioning them. Like we're living in a patriarchal society, and in order to have, boys and men, you have to allow them to be feminine.
Yes.
And I love this about now, this generation. We're becoming aware of that. You know, we're becoming aware of mental health. But mental health is also correlated to get in touch with your emotions and feelings.
Yes,
You
and
know?
your creative side.
And your creative
You're
side.
seeing a lot of men
Yes.
now paint their nails, and they're straight men.
Yes.
You know, you're seeing a lot of men
Yes.
color their hair in colors. Like, men are starting to be more expressive and more
More
Right.
creative.
their
And then you hear
feminine
people
side. Yes,
say,
that
you
feminine
always hear
side.
people say, oh, I don't do that gay shit. Well, actually, it's not really necessarily meaning they're gay, but maybe they're trying to present something because their words.
Finish your thought.
Because they're words.
It doesn't mean that they're gay, and then continue.
Okay. It doesn't mean that they're gay. It means that because they're trying to express maybe a movement to society that it is okay to be in touch with your feminine side. You know, it may be a sign of that. But they often get told, oh, no, that's gay, or I wouldn't do that. And it's okay. I respect people that wouldn't do it, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I know a lot of men that wouldn't do it. But it's also showing, they're trying to present something because maybe their words aren't being as powerful, so they have to do it with their actions.
Yes, and I think also, like, our generation is creating a safe space for men to just, like, I feel like men do say some certain feminine things, you know, and they just weren't honest about it in previous generations because they thought they were going to get shamed for it, you know?
And they did.
And they did, and they did get shamed for it. And I feel like now men are like, no, I can. If I want to dye my hair, if I want to wear jewelry, if I want to paint my nails, if I want to wear colorful things, like if I want to wear pink, like it's okay. It doesn't make me gay because
Right.
the only thing that makes you gay is if you like the same sex. That's the only thing that makes you gay. That's it. Like,
And there's nothing wrong with being gay.
And there's nothing
It's just
wrong.
your sexual orientation. It's like saying like, oh, I'm heterosexual. Oh, I like men. Okay, that's just my like sexual orientation.
you know, and if you believe in freedom, this is kind of off topic, but if you believe in freedom, like majority of us do, then let people be free to be who they want to be.
So long as they're not hurting other people.
Exactly. It has no effect on you at all. Why does whatever they have in their pants have to do with you? You get me? Like, let people be free to express themselves. Feminine, masculine, a combination. Let's be a community. Let's help one another. Let's help one another to be,
Community.
a safe space to
Yes, I
express
love
it,
that.
to express
feminine
ourselves.
energy here.
Yeah, like, I and I'm for it. Like, I honestly grew up thinking like that too. Like, oh, men are supposed to be like this and women like that. And now I'm just like, it's all bullshit. It really is.
I think to like kind of your point, Evelyn, to kind of, bring this together, it's all about a balance. You don't want to be too feminine. You don't want to be too masculine because, you want to be able to provide for your partner that flexibility and fluidity, because sometimes there'll be days where maybe your partner is going through a financial challenge where you'll be more masculine, and you'll have to be more presenting. And there's times where maybe you're on your, you're feeling very emotionally down, and that's where you need that feminine side of you. So it's just being able to find that balance for yourself, for others. What would you give some tips, Evelyn, in terms of how to be more feminine?
Most importantly, getting in touch with your emotions. Taking that break. We're often so hustle. And again, where it leads to being relentless. Take a break and it's okay. Stop feeling guilty for not working so much, because that's what society has shown to us. Yeah. And I'm not saying, oh, don't work, but be aware of when you need a break, When you need to get in touch with your creative side, paint your nails, again, that feeling of feminine, of, exercising,
Self-care.
working out, self-care. take a break, take a pause, and go back to that and be like, okay, let me get in touch of that.
Yeah.
It's okay to rest on days where you don't feel like working because of your mental health. You know, men can be told, oh, come on, don't be a baby. You know, don't man up and go work. Mentally, I'm not there though. How can I go to work if I'm mentally struggling? You're always going to hear comments from friends and people, but they don't know how you live because they're not in your shoe steps. They don't know the history of how you grew up. They don't know your traumas. They don't know anything from your background. For you to hear a comment like that, it's okay to reflect on your past and be like, I do need a break.
Yeah.
You know? So that would be my biggest tip for that.
You know, smell the flowers. You know, take it easy. Enjoy life. You know, don't just think about like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Like, take a step back, analyze, and appreciate. You know, and it's the little things, I feel.
Yeah, perfect. Well, we wanted to bring our special. Whoa, someone was taking a nap. We wanted to say thank you so much for watching our episode. We really hope you appreciated. If you're feeling too masculine, you took a little feminine. If you're feeling real feminine, you're okay with being in touch with your masculine side. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Hey, you never know. Maybe your homies need to know that they need to, you know, get in touch with themselves. Maybe your homegirls need to know they need to be a little bit more firm. So we appreciate it again. My name is Aizy.
And I'm Shanti.
And this is Evelyn. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for our next episode. Bye.
Bye.